Good morning, students. Welcome back to online classes of digital communication. There was a bit gap between your last class and present this class. I was a bit unwell, so I couldn't take the classes regularly. Now, alhamdulillah, I'm doing a better. So, in the last class, we have discussed about the elements of digital communication. Then we have seen the comparison of analog communication and digital communication. Then we have also seen our next topic, that was the pulse code modulation, PCM, right? So I hope you are all clear with that topics, and I think that you people have also written the notes of that particular topic. So in today's class, I am going to discuss your quantization and quantization error and quantization noise. What is that actually? So for the analog signal, you are going to convert your in digital communication, you are going to convert your analog signal into the digital signal, right? So for that one, we require three steps. One is sampling, for second one is quantization, and third one is encoding. Correct? So what is a sampler? Incoming message signal is sampled with a train of narrow rectangular pulses. You are converting that into the narrow rectangular pulses, and in the quantizer, these sampled signals are fed to the quantizer, which will be approximating the each input value of the label to a prefixed labels. Correct? Then afterwards, this encoding, what this will be doing, the process of giving the or allotting some particular digital codes to that particular values. After quantization, whatever you will be getting the pulses, to that one you will be adding the codes. So this is how your analog signal is converted into the digital signal. So in PCM, we have seen that one, in pulse code modulation, one of the waveform coding. Okay, then you have also seen the reconstruction filters in that one, the regenerative repeaters. Why actually these regenerative repeaters are used? These are used as an intermediate points between the transmitters and the receivers in order to boost up the pulse amplitude and avoid the distortions. Correct? Now here today I am going to start with the quantization, what actually quantization is, then how many kinds of quantization you are having. Okay, then signal to quantization noise ratio will be seen, that one. So very firstly, what is quantization? Quantization is representing the sampled values of the amplitude by a finite set of levels, which means converting a continuous amplitude samples into the discrete time samples. As I have said already, sampling means you are just converting them into the narrow pulses, and for the quantization you are prefixing the particular values. So both sampling as well as the quantization result in loss of information. A bit loss of information will be there. The quality of the quantizer output depends upon the number of quantization levels that have been used. So the discrete amplitudes of the quantized output are called as representation levels or the reconstruction levels. I'll repeat this. The discrete amplitudes of the quantized output are called as representation levels or the reconstruction levels. So the spacing between these two adjacent representation means if there is a one pulse and we are having one more pulse, so the spacing between that pulse is called as your quantum or the step size. So you know what is the step size actually, but as to figure out that one, we say it as the spacing between the two adjacent representation levels is called as quantization, quantum or step size. So this quantization is of again two types. One is uniform quantization and non-uniform quantization. Okay, what is first one? Uniform quantization. In the type of quantization in which quantization levels are uniformly spaced, okay, and which are termed as uniform quantization. Suppose the step size is uniformly placed. Suppose I am having 10 step size, so I am placing them into 2, 4, 6, 8. I am keeping a step size between them is 2 and 2. So what it means, it is a uniform quantization. Means if the quantization levels are uniformly spaced, then it is called as your uniform quantization. Then next, if you go, what you are having, the type of quantization in which the quantization levels are unequal, mostly the relationship between is logarithmic, so it is termed as non-uniform quantization. It means simply, if I explain, the step size is not equal. Okay, if I go for the 10 is my size, So if one step size is 2, one more step size 3, then again I'm having 1, then again I'm having 4. So if the step size is not equal, or the quantization levels are not equal, or they are unequal, then that kind of quantization is called as your uniform quantization. Okay, now let's see first one, uniform quantization, non-uniform quantization we have discussed. Now see uniform quantization. There are two types of uniform quantization. One is mid-rise type and mid-thread type. Mid-rise type means at the middle of the point, if it is rising like this, okay, this is called as mid-rise type. If your mid-thread type is, if it is flattened over at the middle of the point at the axis, then it is called as mid-thread type of uniform quantization. See the step size here, it is equal, it is uniformly, it is distributed. If it is uniformly distributed, then it is called as uniform quantization. And in that uniform quantization, mid-rise type means when it is type so called because the origin lies in the middle of the rising part. So if it is middle of the rising part, if you are lying on the axis, okay, of your staircase like graph, then this level is a type of even number. So this kind of quantization is called as mid-rise quantization. When it comes to the mid-thread type, it is so called because the origin lies in the middle of the thread, in this one, this part in the thread. So this is called as your mid-thread type of quantization. So both the mid-rise and mid-thread type of quantizations are symmetric about the origin. They will be meeting at the origin. So these are the two types of uniform quantization. Now see uniform quantization noise and signal to noise ratio in PCM. How you are going to find it out? Here it is given clearly. Because of quantization, you are having 4 steps. I'll briefly explain this one. Because of quantization, inherent errors are introduced in the signal. So these errors are called as quantization errors. So what I am saying, because of quantization, inherent errors may be introduced, and that particular errors are called as your quantization errors. So as to find that one, that quantization error is defined as mu is equals to xq of nts minus x of nts. Okay, where I'll explain in one more manner. Either you can go these steps one by one, I'll share the notes with you, or else I'll explain afterwards. Either I'll take one of my notes where I'll show you the quantization error. Okay, so what is a quantization error? Let a random variable x denotes a quantization error and represents the t samples. I am taking x as a random error and I am considering t samples. So let the x be the uniformly distributed over an interval delta. Okay, so step size is of my is delta. Complete one step size is delta. I have divided into 2 here, delta by 2, delta by 2. So x with a uniformly distributed over an interval which is called as delta. So the probability density function PDF is given as f of x of 1 by delta if it is lying in between minus delta by 2 and delta by 2, and the value of your output will be 0 in case of other conditions. So the mean of the quantization error, I am directly taking the mean of the quantization error mu is equals to minus delta by 2 plus delta by 2 divided by 2 is equals to 0, and the variance of this quantization is delta square is equals to integration of minus delta by 2 to delta by 2 into x minus mu whole square into f of x into dx. This is the mean of the quantization error and this is the variance and this is the probability density function. Now I am directly going to find out the quantization error or the normalized noise power or the mean square quantization error. You can name it any one of them. So mean sigma square is equals to this one minus delta by 2 x square minus 1 by delta into dx. I am substituting the values over there and getting here what is f of x value and x minus mu whole square. You have to substitute these values over in this equation and then you have to do the calculation. So your delta that is equals to 1 by delta into x cube by 3 of delta by 2. So that sigma square is equals to, now substitute the values here, 1 by 3 delta, I am taking the common 3 here, that is x cube of minus delta by 2 to delta by 2. Now sigma square is equals to 1 by 3 delta, this is delta by 2 whole cube minus minus of delta by 2 whole cube. That way if you calculate, and then you will be getting the equation of sigma square is equals to delta square by 12. So this is the equation of your quantization error or the normalized noise power. So this equation is called as quantization error. So quantization error, delta square is equals to sigma square is equals to delta square by 12. It is also called as mean square quantization error or normalized noise power. So signal to quantization ratio, S is equals to S by N is equals to normalized signal power divided by normalized noise power. You are having a normalized noise power, correct? This is your normalized noise power. Then you have to calculate normalized signal power. That can be given as by using the step size delta is equals to x max minus of minus x max divided by L. L is your normalized noise power. Now you calculate this equation, then you will be getting 2x max divided by L. Put the equation sidely, and then you go for one more bits, n number of bits that are represented by L. How many bits or how many quantization levels you have taken, that quantization levels or the steps, L is equals to 2 to the power of n. Now delta is equals to, what is the delta value ma? L here, you are substituting this L value over here. So delta is equals to 2x max divided by 2 to the power of n. Now let normalized signal power is denoted by P. So you have S of S by N, the first equation here, the S by N is equals to normalized signal power divided by normalized noise power. We are going there. So S by N is equals to, what I am considering, let normalized signal power is denoted by P, that P is divided by delta square by 12. We have covered the delta square by 12 by this equation, which is called as normalized noise power. Substituting that into the equation, then you will be getting this 12, I am getting it up, okay, delta square by 12. Now substitute this delta value over here, okay, this 12 will be going up upwards over there. So your S by N is equals to 12 into P into 2 to the power of 2n, this 2 to the power of 2n, this will go upside over here, divided by 2x max whole square, that is 2 to the 4, so 4x square max. So your S by N is equals to, this is divided by 4 ones are 4 threes are, so 3p to the power of 2n divided by x square max. This is a required relation for the signal to noise ratio for a linear quantization in a PCM system. So if you consider, so overall signal to noise ratio of the quantization noise is given as 3p 2 to the power of 2n divided by x square into max. Now let us consider your, let x max is equals to 1 and p is less than or equals to 1, then your signal to noise ratio in terms of dB will be 10 into log to the power of 10 into 32 to the power of 2n, and that will sorry, so that can be considered as signal to noise ratio is equals to 4.8 plus 6n. You have to calculate this in terms of your what will say about decibels. Then you have to obtain these values, okay. So this is how you will be getting the value of signal to noise ratio. Okay, whenever you are having, let x max is equals to 1 and p is less than or equals to 1, then the signal to noise ratio will be 10 log 10 into 32 to the power of 2 power n. I am substituting that value or calculating that, then 10 log 10 to the power of 3 plus 10 log 10 to the power of 2n, I am writing like that. Then you have to calculate that particular value, then signal to noise ratio in terms of decibels you will be getting as 4.8 plus 6n. This is how you have to calculate the value of your signal to noise ratio in terms of decibels. Or else signal to noise ratio, that is equals to 3p 2 to the power of 2n by divided by x square into 2 max, that is more than enough. Up to here the relationship is also more than enough, okay. Signal to noise ratio. So this was about the signal to noise ratio of a uniform quantization. Okay, I hope you are clear with that one. Please do make a notes. In case of any doubts, please do let me know. Now comes to the non-uniform quantization. Okay, uniform quantization means the step size is linear, means the step size whatever you are considering that are same over there. If the step size is not linear, then it is called as non-uniform quantization. Here also we have considered the same thing, x of t for the normalized value and the maximum values, and you have calculated the equations. Then obviously you have got the equations, but it is a bit confusing. Here see delta square by 12. There also we got the mean square value delta square by 12 here. Okay, this one. So so it's a bit confusing. So I have taken my notes and have explained about there. And derivation of maximum signal to noise ratio for the linear quantization. The same thing that we'll be getting. See 3p into 2 to the power of 2n into x square by x square max. Here also we have got the same one. See 3p 2 to the power of 2n divided by x square max. Okay, so this was about your uniform quantization. Now when it comes to the non-uniform quantization, in a non-uniform quantization the step size is not fixed, they will be varying. So it varies according to the certain law or as per input amplitudes. So the following figure which will be showing you the, see this one non-uniform quantization where it is not linear. Fine. So this figure shows you the non-uniform quantization. In this figure it is observed that the step size is small at a low level signals, and hence the quantization error is also small, okay, at that particular input. Therefore the signal to quantization noise power is improved at low levels, but when it comes to the higher levels the step size will be higher and the high input levels, hence the signal to noise ratio remains almost same throughout the dynamic particular range. So for that one, this compounding for this non-uniform quantization can be achieved through a process which is called as compounding. So we have said that we have seen non-uniform quantization, but how this non-uniform quantization can be obtained? So this non-uniform quantization can be obtained by a process which is called as compounding, which is very important either for the short questions, either for the 5 marks. Okay, what is actually meant by compounding? I'll first tell you that one. Compounding is the word, if you consider in 2 words as shorter words, one is compression and expansion. Okay, compression means the weak signals are amplified and the stronger signals will be attenuated, okay, before applying them for the uniform quantizer. So I'll explain this once again. Compounding in the simple words if you consider is nothing but your compression and expansion, means you have to compress and you have to expand. How that you will see. Non-uniform quantizations are non-uniform quantizers are very difficult to make and they are very expensive. So there is an alternative. It is first to pass through the speech signal through a non-linearly before quantization with a uniform quantizer. So the non-linearity causes the signal amplitude to be compressed. So the input of the quantizer will have more uniform distribution. So at the receiver the signal is expanded by the inversion of the non-linearity. So the process of compression and expansion is called as your compounding. Please do remember this one. The process of compressing and expanding is called as your compounding. Okay, see the figure there. This one. This is the compression and this part is your expanding. Fine. So here we are having 2 different types of compoundings. One is mu log compounding and second one is A log compounding. Okay, I will discuss that 2 separately also. So the weak signals are amplified and the strong signals will be attenuated before they are applied to the uniform quantization. Okay, first what you are doing, this is the compressor, then you are giving to the quantizer, then the expander, then at the last these 3 stages combine to give the characteristics of the non-linear or the non-uniform quantizer. So first one is compressor. So what it means, the weak signals are amplified and the strong signals are attenuated before applying them to the uniform quantization. So this process is called as compression and the block that provides is called as your compressor. Okay, at the receiver exactly opposite is followed. Okay, that is called as your expansion. The compression of the signal at the transmitter and the expansion at the receiver is combined, and they both are called as your compounding. So due to the inverse nature of the compressor and expander, the overall characteristics of the compounder are in the straight line. Okay, that we have seen this one. This will be of a straight line. Okay, I'll once show in my notes. See here. So the non-uniform quantization is achieved through a process called as compounding. The compounding is nothing but derived by two words. I have already said. Simply, if you consider compounding, it is nothing but compression and expansion. The weak signals are amplified and the strong signals are attenuated before applying them to the uniform quantizer. If there is a weak signal, it will be amplified, then it is given to the quantizer. If it is a stronger signal, then it will be attenuated, then it is given to the uniform quantizer. This process of compression and expansion will be giving you the compounding, and the block that does the compression process is called as your compressor. So the receiver, this whole part, this will be done at the transmitter side, and this expander part will be done at the receiver side. So the compression of the signal at the transmitter and expansion is done at the receiver, and the combined is called as your compounding. So this is the compression. Okay, this is the graph for the compression, and this is your expander, and this is the graph overall for your compounding. This already I have shown here graph, this one. Okay, this is called as your compounding. Now we will see what is mu law compounding. Here the compression characteristics is continuous, that is, it is a linear for the smaller values of the inputs and the logarithmic for the higher values of the inputs. So the mu law compounder, or the characteristics in terms of mathematical representation, can be given as z of x is equals to signum of x into log of 1 plus mu of x divided by x max whole divided by log of 1 plus mu. This is the expression for the mu law compressor or the mu law compounder. See here, the equation is clearly given. Normally for a speech and the music signals, the mu law compression is used. Okay, so this kind of compression can be defined as z of x is equals to signum x into log of 1 plus mu into x, that is delta x, divided by ln of 1 plus mu for x is less than 1. Okay, these are mostly used where I have said this is mostly used for the music and the speech signal. Okay, the compressor characteristics is continuous and it is linear for the smaller values of the inputs and the logarithmic for the higher values. If it is the smaller values, if you are there, then it is linear, and for the higher values it will be the logarithmic. And this mu law compounding is mostly used in the music and the speech signals. Okay, this is the expression for that one. See the graph over here, it can be clearly seen that without compounding your signal will be like this, and with the compounding you will be getting the linear characteristics. Okay, this is the advantage of having the compounding. Fine. Now comes to the second one, that is your A law compounding. What is A law compounding? Here the compressor characteristics is piecewise. Okay, in separate piecewise you are considering the characteristics, then it is called as your A law compounding. Okay, it is a linear for the smaller values of the inputs and logarithmic for the higher values of the inputs. Here also we will be having same. Okay, the A law provides a piecewise compressor characteristics. It has a linear segment for the low level inputs and the logarithmic segment for the high level of the inputs, and the expression can be given for the A law compounding is z of x divided by x max also you will consider, or else directly you can go over there. So z of x is equals to a of delta x divided by 1 plus log of a for the 0 when you are having the values between 0 and 1 by a, and for 1 by a to greater than or between 1 by a to 1, then your output expression for the A law compounding will be z of x is equals to 1 plus log of a of delta of x divided by 1 plus log a. This one. These are the two conditions. When a is equals to 1, we get the uniform quantization. Okay, the practical value of A is 87.56. Both ALA and MULA compounding are used in PCM telephone systems. Okay, and and mostly it will be used in space communication also, either in PCM telephone systems or else in the space communication systems. So if you go and consider signal to noise ratio for the compounded PCM, then that will be given as S by N is equals to 3Q square divided by Ln of 1 plus mu whole square. So this is how you will be getting this one. So this was about the PCM and the compounding which are used in your PCM. Okay. So I hope you are clear with this compounding. This compounding and this all process will be coming under your pulse code modulation technique itself. So there is ALA. What is actually compounding? It is nothing but compression and expansion. So this compounding is of two types. One is mu-log compounding and A-log compounding. And if I consider both, or I compare both of the techniques, mu-log compounding is much better. And this mu-log compounding is mostly used in music and speech signals, whereas A-log compounding will be used in PCM telephony or in space communications. Okay, we have seen the different equations of A-log and mu-log compounding also. So this was about your compounding as well as the quantization, uniform quantization as well as non-uniform quantization. I hope you are all clear with this topic. Please do make the notes. In case of any doubts, please do let me know. Okay, we'll wind up the class here itself. Thank you.